Indiana Governor Mike Pence ended speculation on his plans to run for office by inviting Hoosiers to join in on a special announcement this week. On Thursday, the governor used social media to solidify his re-election bid for the governor's office. Indiana's 50th governor checked in on social media at the Indiana Republican Party's annual spring dinner. He urged followers to log on to Twitter, the live streaming video platform Periscope, and the messaging application Snapchat using their mobile phones. Governor Pence and keynote speaker Tennessean Governor Bill Haslam addressed the crowd along with other Republican leaders from Indiana. The Periscope broadcast was for the speeches in real time, while Snapchat gave viewers a behind-the-scenes look at the VIP reception. Well, local leaders and residents are also taking to social media to express their concern following a mass shooting incident at a church in Charleston, South Carolina. Gary Mayor FreemanWilson took to Twitter to send prayers to members of Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston and the entire Charleston community. On Wednesday, 9 parishioners were shot at a Bible study at the church, according to a statement from the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. Shooting suspect Dylan Roof has been taken into custody, according to Charleston police. Charleston Mayor Joe Riley has described the incident as a hate crime. Indiana Black Expo President and CEO Tanya Bell released a statement on Twitter praying, quote, that justice will prevail and that the Emmanuel AME Church and Charleston community is surrounded by love during this challenging time. A local congressional leader says his efforts to change top-line spending on Capitol Hill will make sure American-made products manufactured right here in the region will stay atop the manufacturing food chain. This week, Congressman Visclosky advanced a Buy America amendment for the fiscal year 2016 Interior Appropriations Act. Buy America provisions ensure that transportation infrastructure projects are built with American-made products, which the congressman says impacts local steel production. In a statement, he says the amendment removed provisions that would have allowed products substantially transformed in the United States to meet Buy America standards. Under the revised provisions, EPA drinking water state revolving fund projects must use iron and steel produced in the United States. He says the amendment has the support of United Steelworkers, ArcelorMittal, and U.S. Steel. He says the provisions also protect area steel companies in an effort to lessen trade disputes with foreign companies.
We tend to win most of our trade cases, but it is so difficult and so time-consuming. By the time we do, that plant is closed and those jobs are lost. For our purposes in Northwest Indiana for steel, but manufacturing in general, it's very, very important. We have steel provisions included in that customs bill that was passed by the House on Friday. Am excited, and many of the steel producers have contacted us over the years and said it has had an impact and been of assistance to them.
The amendment was approved by the voice vote during the House Appropriations Committee markup of the fiscal year 2016 Interior Appropriations Act. Organizers from another area group have a rare request to add to your summer to-do list that could save lives. American Red Cross officials in Jasper County say they need more donors. They say summer is a difficult time to collect enough blood to meet patient needs because regular donors are traveling or vacationing and schools that host drives are out of session. The organization says nearly 90% of donors surveyed this past spring say they plan to take a vacation this summer, potentially making them less available to give. Jasper County officials say they want donors of all blood types, especially those with types O negative, A negative, and B negative. They're looking for donors for several events in June, including one on June 22nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. located at 10352 North 600 East in DeMont. You can visit redcrossblood.org to make an appointment. Well, with this region still fighting flash flood conditions amid heavy summer rains, a few men are already doing a bit of goodwill in rain-logged communities. Inmates from Westville Correctional Facility are helping to fight flooding along the Kankakee River. Earlier this week, a group of inmates conducted sandbagging after Newton County Emergency Management officials asked for assistance. The inmates traveled more than 50 miles to lend a helping hand. 2 8-man crews were each dispatched to Newton and Lake County. The crews were minimum security offenders from facilities supervised by a facility staff. In all, crews laid more than 3,700 sandbags. Superintendent Mark Sevier says the effort not only provides free manpower to the county, but also offers inmates a chance to provide something valuable back to the community. Michigan ship sailed into the region to give students a lesson on ecology. The W.D. Jackson research vessel from Muskegon, Michigan is helping to educate students about Lake Michigan. This vital resource supplies millions with fresh drinking water and food. The ship took a group of students and state officials from Burns Harbor to tour the lake and to take water and soil samples for analysis. Scientists on board allowed the visitors to perform experiments on the samples to check the health of the water. They also looked for animals in the water. The scientists report overall, the water quality in Lake Michigan is pretty good.
Within our Great Lakes system, 20% of the fresh surface water of the world is like right at our doorstep. So we need to really think about the fact that everything we do on the land has the potential of impacting this wonderful resource.
The tour was sponsored by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. An area judge is cracking down on student attendance and a fitting farewell to a Lakeshore family member. Coming up next.
Lakeshore Report wants to hear from you. Send your thoughts, concerns, questions, and story ideas to tvfeedback@lakeshorepublicmedia.org. You can also reach us on Facebook and Twitter at Lakeshore Report. Make sure to tweet us using the hashtag NWIPride and you may see your comments on air. Lakeshore Report, providing you region-focused content.
In 2012, Gary Municipal Court Judge Inga Lewis Shannon says she got tired of seeing so many young men and women come before her for truancy problems only to graduate to the prison system. That's when she decided to do something about the problem. The answer was a way to rebuild the students' track record for class attendance. Project Rebuild intervenes to stop youth from skipping school.
These are the smiles and happy faces of graduates of the Project Rebuild program. They've completed the 90-day program and are no longer on the list of truants for the city of Gary. Organizers say the program helps parents understand that they are responsible for the welfare of their children.
They don't understand that if this child isn't going to school, this is your problem. You would be surprised at how many children come before me with the parents and they will say, well, she's the one that's not going to school. Why do I have to be in trouble?
Through Project Rebuild, parents are connected with resources in the community to keep the family together and strong, like transportation, food, help learning how to cook, and general parenting classes.
Well, my attitude is that most parents love their children, and sometimes they just don't have an understanding about what it is that you need to do. How do you get control over your house where your kid is going to school every day? And so what we do with our partners, specifically Indiana Parenting Institute, we train that parent as to how you communicate with your children, how you gain their respect, all of these things.
Commander Kerry Rice has been a police officer for over 20 years. He says when the program began, truancy in the city of Gary was spiraling out of control. He's seen the program turn around over 1,000 families.
We have had a lot of families go on to better grades, and a couple of them actually graduated. I had a parent that met me at the front desk for something, not related to truancy, but she was happy to tell me that her daughter graduated and actually has a job now.
This woman and her daughter were part of this graduating class. She says at first, things were hard.
I learned a lot. At first I was mad. But then when I did come to it, it's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that I needed to know, and I appreciate the class for that.
It meant a lot to me. I know that now that I can just look back and know that I did something and can do basically anything I put my mind to.
Stephen Lattimore, Lakeshore Report.
The program has been so successful, they are expanding it throughout Lake County. They're also talking to East Chicago City Court officials to see if they can bring the program there as well. Well, for nearly 4 years, he served as a steady voice on television and radio, breaking down how political policies affect the public. This week, reporter Steve Walsh served his last week at Lakeshore Public Media in the region where he grew up. Each week on Lakeshore Report, he caught up with local leaders to talk about diverse topics with his segment, Regionally Speaking. We sat down with Walsh to hear how the stories he covered will resonate with him long after he stops broadcasting with the Lakeshore family.
So we've had a pretty good overview, I think, of some of the real movers and shakers in this area. I know we've had Senator Donnelly on live from Washington. We've had Mayor Karen FreemanWilson, Mayor McDermott. We have had Congressman Visclosky and Sheriff Bunsage. We've had most of the mayors, I think, from this area. We've covered most of the major stories. And I also do a collaboration with NPR called Back at Base. And yeah, that was one of the major stories we did, where we looked at veterans issues around the country and really found out that where you live makes a tremendous amount of difference as to what kind of benefits and how quickly you receive your benefits. One of those reasons being veteran service officers tend to be kind of spotty. Some areas are pretty good and they're really energetic. Some areas not so much, and they really help make the VA system work. And we also did things about the Veterans Choice Program, which was the new program that allows veterans to go outside of the VA system if they're more than 30 days behind at the VA and if they don't have that specialist at the VA hospital.
For post 9/11 veterans nationwide at about 9%, which is pretty high in and of itself.
Veterans often have to get on a bus before dawn to get to the Adam Benjamin Center just to get on another bus to go up to Chicago. And then they have to race back here after their appointment is done so they can catch a ride to get back to their houses. This is sometimes a very long, exhaustive process that they were trying to solve with federal legislation, but it's still been quite a problem here. In fact, transportation, especially the lack of bus service here in Northwest Indiana, and how difficult it is to get that. And we actually did a live remote on radio on the last day just before bus service shut down in Hammond under the Regional Bus Authority. And I tend to not to get too sentimental about stories because I want to make sure that I'm being objective and I can really tell the story the way it needs to be told. But I will say one of the stories I did on Lakeshore Report was Ann Bailey. She had this book, Steel Closets, that looked at gay, transgender, and bisexual steelworkers in Northwest Indiana, which was an area that really hadn't been well covered at all. And we were able to bring on somebody from the Steelworkers Union and a lesbian steelworker, had her on air, talking about a resolution they were putting together for the United Steelworkers at their national convention to address that issue. The only message I can think of is thank you. Thank you for years. I mean, this area, we often have a real chip on our shoulders. We're often seen as near Chicago, but not Chicago. We sometimes looked down upon from Indianapolis. Gary often has this, checkered reputation around the country and sometimes around the world. But, this is a wonderful area, rich, diverse. If there's a kind of people in the U.S., they're here in Northwest Indiana, and we've been able to work together and cooperate. Sure, there are a lot of fights and there are a lot of problems, but there are also, some of the most interesting and exciting stories come out of Northwest Indiana, and it really has been just an honor to cover it. I will tell you, I was excited, and I'm still excited about going to San Diego, but as these last few days come along, and people are reminding me of all the stories that I've told, all of the people that I've covered, and just the history and tenure here, it's just, you get a little, I don't know, it's going to be tough to leave my home, my home territory. I've never lived anywhere else except Northwest Indiana. I've been around the world, but I've never lived anywhere but here, and so it's going to be a different experience to leave.
In an effort to give you insight on region events, we've collaborated with the state's second largest newspaper, the Times of Northwest Indiana. Regularly, we'll feature exclusive previews of some of the top stories in this Sunday's paper. This week, the Times' Vanessa Renderman talked with shop owners in Griffith about why their stores give Griffith a certain flair.
For me, I tell people that this is basically like the closest we can get to Austin, Texas and Lake County, and you only get about a block and a half. That's it, you know. So there's a lot of like-minded people out here, and luckily there's a lot of people that support what's going on right now. We wouldn't be anything without our clientele, and our clientele goes vast, and we have people that live as far as like, you know, Barrington, into like Michigan City and, you know, Union Pier and all that kind of type stuff. So we've been completely blessed out here. We just became so enthralled with how cool Griffith was and how reasonable it was out here. And then like my buddy Gabe opened up Grindhouse since we've been out here. My buddy Poker opened up a brew pub, and then another couple brew pubs like came out. And now all of a sudden, like 4 years ago, you know, you'd walk down the street, you wouldn't see that much, and now you just see like just a bunch of dudes like covered in ink, walking around shopping and doing farmers markets.
We like to joke, like, let's make this place like hip and young and cool, like we like to pretend we are, but not so hip and young that like our grandma wouldn't want to come here. A lot of our clientele are older people. We really hit like every demographic you can possibly think of, you find here at the cafe. For so long, Griffith was just under construction, and you know, it's just a place you drove through, but Griffith has been really happening lately, so we've been excited to be a part of the development of what's been going on. Sometimes people joke that like, oh, this feels like we're in Chicago, or feels like we're in Berkeley or Portland, but downtown Griffith, it's starting to, I think, become a bit of a destination for not just people in the region, but people from out of the region, especially with the breweries that have opened downtown. We've been getting a lot of people just coming in from out of town to check out what us at Grindhouse, Ladies, the three breweries have going on.
I try to bring like a city vibe, like a downtown Chicago or any city USA vibe to Griffith, and that's kind of what I was going for. We're getting some Chicago traffic. We're getting people as far as LaPorte. We do a lot of business online though too. So you know, we have the Dynamite Music website. We have an eBay store. We do stuff on Reverb. You know, but Facebook. I mean, Facebook is a huge tool for us to move our merchandise because so many people see it. You know, I think we have almost 3,000 likes now. So you know, it's building, and it's building slowly, but it's going good though. It's very diverse down here. You're right. I mean, there's a very eclectic mix of businesses. Unfortunately, there's a few that have gone out of business, and there's some vacancies now again, here and there. But I mean, in total though, it's been pretty good.
The vibe, in a word, would be niche. You know, it is just a unique bunch of businesses that have evolved into the downtown here since '91. Since we've been downtown here. You know, some of the traditional businesses that used to be here, like there used to be the Fagan Pharmacy, which was in this building, that drugstore, and then there was Hometown Carpets, which is moved down. This area is systematically kind of filled in with like what you would experience today with the Grindhouse or with the music stores, and now we've got another record store that's moving in 2 doors down. So with all the breweries that have popped up right downtown here, it's just kind of cool stuff that has its own dynamic that kind of brings other people into the region for it.
All of the shop owners are friendly, and it's, you know, just a really cool little place. And I couldn't wait to leave, you know, after I graduated, and I did. I moved away for 20 years and then came back, and it was like, wow, this town is undergoing a renaissance practically with, you know, all of the new businesses, and it's just like so much fun.
For more information about these stories, you can log on to www.nwitimes.com. Twice a month, Lakeshore Report teams up with the Society of Innovators of Northwest Indiana to showcase some of the most forward-thinking projects and people the region has to offer. This week, youth in Lake County are being offered a chance to fix their ink. Unsightly gang tattoos and other inappropriate ink may harm their chances at employment and a fresh start. A local Hammond tattoo shop is helping to fix that problem at no cost to them.
The innovation is unsightly tattoo removal for youth with an unsightly gang tattoo or an unsightly tattoo that would stop their social development and or employment opportunities. The overall goal is to improve their chances of succeeding and being productive citizens. Over the years, I've watched in felony court people that have had tattoos that seemed completely inappropriate by most people's standards. And I'd always ask them, well, why'd you do that? Why'd you get that tattoo? And they'd say, well, you know, I was younger, I wasn't thinking clearly. But I'm friends with the owner of Bugaboo Tattoo and spent time traveling with him. He too does not like the unsightly tattoos that stop social development. So we started talking one day, and he says, well, I'm going to buy a laser. Will you send me people from juvenile court? And I said, well, yeah, sure. They won't have any money to pay. He says, that's okay, I'll do it for free. And that's kind of how it began. It's been pretty seamless, and we've had no real glitches. Part of our problem is if we have a kid that's in our detention center, following him, getting him or her to follow up after they leave our detention center. A lot of ride transportation type of problems. So one potential vision for the future would be, well, if they've got a ride problem, maybe we can provide a service to get them there also. Well, it's important because it gives kids an opportunity to correct their bad mistakes, their bad tattoo mistakes, and gives them an opportunity to start fresh and start their life anew. We've had over 100 kids that have taken advantage of the program. Those are 100 kids that now have a better opportunity at getting a job when they apply, less prone to violence by outside gang members or gang members from another gang. Just an all-around better feeling of self-worth is what we're seeing.
For more information about these stories and more, you can log on to www.lakeshorepublicmedia.org. We'll see you next time on Lakeshore Report.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Jim Chaddock, who's the organizer of the Lightning Bug Music Festival. Is it a music festival?
It is.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got it right. Lightning Bug Music Festival at Indiana Dunes Learning Center out in the dunes.
It's actually at Sunset Hill Farm.
Oh, I take it back.
Yeah, it's a county park just outside of Valparaiso.
Oh, cool.
And it's a natural amphitheater on a nice rolling grassy hillside, and the stage is in a barn. At the
Yeah, because that gives you a lot more space, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Indiana Dunes Learning Center is a former campground.
Right.
And where they do a lot of great programs introducing kids from the inner city to nature and.
Yeah, it's a summer camp, and you know, they do programs that have kind of an environmental focus, and kids get to spend time out there and get away from their iPads and video games.
Whether they live in suburbia or wherever they live. But,
right.
So tell me about the Lightning Bug Music Festival.
Well, Lightning Bug Music Festival, it's a benefit for Dunes Learning Center. 100% of the proceeds go there. And what we've done is we've brought some national touring acts. We've got Jerry Douglas and the Earls of Leicester, who just won the 2015 Grammy for the Best Bluegrass Album.
That's very good.
And we've got a great lineup of music. We've got food trucks out there. We call it the Food Truck Village, where we've got food trucks from throughout the region that come and park in the field, and it's a daytime fest on a Sunday after 4th of July, and kids under 12 get in free. So we encourage people to come out and bring the whole family, and Dunes Learning Center staff comes out with their camp program and does programs for the kids where they hike through the woods, and they'll make kites, and last year they tie-dyed T-shirts and stuff. So it's really a good time for everyone.
So you can spend several hours at the festival. Last year you said you had about 1,000 people.
Yes. Yep.
And you're expecting twice that this year, you think?
If we get good weather, we think we could very easily get twice that out there.
So, so the music, what other music acts do you have?
We have Blitzen Trapper, which is sort of an indie rock, folk rock band from Portland, Oregon. And you'll hear them on Chicago radio and Lollapalooza, and they're they put on a great live show. And then there's another bluegrass band called the Infamous String Dusters, who are very big on the festival circuit. They're world-class musicians, and my wife and I have seen them several times, and we were like, we got to get these guys because the energy is just tremendous live. So we feel like it's going to be fun, both for the parents and for the kids. We try to pick out bands that mom and dad and the kids and everybody can get out there and really enjoy.
Well, it sounds like you put a lot of effort into this, so thank you for doing that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck with the festival, and thanks for being here. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts. Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.